everybody. Welcome to the Mrs. Best Reviews channel. We are here, as always, with our fabulously handsome co-host, who's also an author, James Jackson. Welcome in, James.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Mrs. Best channel. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, especially if you like what you hear and also what you see, because we cut up on these reviews.
We try not to, but we always do. But check the link in the description, you guys. One of the only things you'll see there is James's channel. Feel free to click that link. We do a lot of shows on his channel that I personally enjoy. I won't say Love and Marriage. I don't always enjoy that, but the recaps do well. What else do you do? Somebody's Son. We are hoping and speaking it into existence. When Family Empire Houston is back, he will continue to cover that.
Yes, I miss that show so freaking much. I do. I miss it heavily just because it was such a stellar show and I love the concept of it. So
he need more shows like that.
Huh?
He need more shows like that because they were super relatable. There's a lot of big blended dysfunctional families that will also still figure it out when they need to and stick together appropriately. I like them people, and that's probably why he's not bringing them back. Hell,
He's still, because it's always his good shows that he never brings back. Like, what was the other show he had on? I'm trying to think of what that show was. Grown and Gossip.
Yeah, he didn't bring that back, and that ended with some question marks, cliffhangers. I enjoyed that. But I feel like he wants like the raunchy drama, and I'm like, Carlos, just go call Lemmy and get you a little show on Zeus, and then you could put effort into the ones that are on regular networks, please. But y'all, we are on a whole. We are here to talk about these colorless people and Jasmine on the Valley. This was titled "Ring Around the Rumor," the episode, which I like how they titled the episodes. You could see that they put so much more effort into shows that have primarily colorless cast, because they're doing good with the Valley, but they're also bringing the entertainment. So this episode starts with Jasmine complaining to her girlfriend, whose name I believe is Melissa, about Danny. And she's mad that people are wondering why she's still bringing it up. Right. And she made a comment that I didn't basically like. She basically admitted that she's going to continue to bring this up until she don't feel like it. She was like, I don't care. It happened to me. I could bring it up to the day I die. Okay. Why would you want to? Right.
I'm just like, what good does it do for you to hold on to that?
Look, we 3 minutes in. Hi, DM Rocks. And already everybody's irritated. And I agree with this comment. They both got on my nerves. And Jason, I'm going to get real deep.
Jasmine got on my nerves last week, and this episode didn't help her at all.
It's like, damn, bitch, you was barely on the show, had no storyline season 1. Season 2, you still have no storyline. But now that you're in our face, instead of taking the opportunity to just be real and show us how you really are, you do this shit. But if this is how Jasmine really is, I see why she got a bunch of colorless friends. If you know, you know, to all my people with your brown fist.
Because she gives a self-hating Black woman. She really does. It's so sad. I hate when they do that.
It is. But they end up picking up Zach from the airport. Why it took 2 people to pick him up, I do not know. But Zach basically explains that he was on a road trip. I guess he flew to have a road trip with Benji, who is his, as he calls it, on again, off again boyfriend, which is weird because they was just talking about moving in together and all of this stuff. Personally, I don't think Benji wants Zach all that much, but I need to see more of them together to fully dissect that and have an opinion. But Benji is still married, and Zach is talking about that like it's just happy, hunky-dory. And in my brain, I'm like, okay, so Benji's from Canada. He's a Canadian citizen. The concern for these two and the alleged reason for the breakup is because Benji has to go back to Canada because America is deporting him, right? Which I could believe, because the orange thing in office is deporting people left and right. Hell, he's deporting Americans who have a right to be here. So they told me
the reality of it is
Where's
Like,
QC?
oh my God, like seriously.
Like, if you are going to be deporting people who not supposed to be here, like, even though, like, especially being a Californian, that actually hurts our economy really bad here. But it's like, okay, I get it. I guess those are rules. You're not a citizen, fine. But to deport your own citizens, who's the quality control on that line? That's what I would love to know, because that shit don't make no sense. But I'll digress and move on. Benji, he makes a comment that Benji's husband does not know that he has a boyfriend. And I'm like, but I thought they were going to get a divorce. So I was very confused. And I actually kind of like Zach. He's warming up to me, because I feel like without Zach, a lot of the people on this cast will bullshit us. People being Janet, Jason, Jax, Brittany, Michelle, Jesse,
Yeah, that's
Jasmine.
everybody. Yeah, that's everybody just about.
Yeah. And it's like he kind of like lets us know, like, okay, this is a friend group and everybody's talking about everybody. And apparently they all go to Zach. So I do like Zach. I don't like Benji for Zach. It irks me, because why would you even want to put yourself in a situation to date someone so unavailable? And I know the LGBTQ community will say, you know, well, it's harder for them dating, which statistically it is. So regardless of how y'all feel personally, like, look up stats and numbers, it actually is harder for them to date. And they're a small population of this country, which would make sense why it's harder, because then they're spread out, you know? So I've heard that from some of my gay friends personally, like, well, I know this is effed up, Mina, but I'm going to talk to him because it's hard out here. So I'm like, okay, but I know it's hard, but it can't be so hard that you got to choose a man who's on his way to being deported, is not an American citizen. In addition to that, he is still married. Like, what? Like, James, how do you feel about Benji and Zach?
I feel like it's not going to work. And I feel that the problem is that, you know, when you're dealing with an immigration situation that is almost permanent, that he's never going to be here fully for you, he's never going to be what you need fully. It's only going to be moments where maybe he can fly out and see you for a few days out of the month, if that. So I don't understand exactly what you're looking for and what you want to be different this time around, because as we all just said, he is still legally married, and then his partner does not know, or if he's married to a woman, I don't know what the circumstances, I just totally spaced out, but whoever he has back home does not know about you. So clearly you need to ask the question if he's fully out of that relationship, because it doesn't sound like it to me. It just sounds like they're in limbo.
That's what it sounds like. That's exactly what it sounds like. I love the way you be explaining stuff perfectly, because that's what it sounded like.
Mm-hmm.
And I like, Zach, want better for yourself. If you can care,
we all want better for him, but at the same, because you know that's a representation. That's a lifestyle I represent, but I'm not going to co-sign bullshit at the same time. That's not me. I'm not going to do that. Like, he's delusional.
And
the problem that I have with him in this whole situation is there are plenty of men in LA. Plenty of them. Actually, I think LA, like San Francisco, like Palm Springs, if you really that lazy, you can go somewhere else and find somebody. You can find somebody. There has to be a reason why you attaching yourself to this specific person. I don't know what that could be, and I don't really care one way or the other, but it does not make sense. And I'm going to continue to say it. This relationship does not make sense. There are too many red flags and barriers in the way for you to really put all your eggs in this basket. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. In LA, they do have a pretty strong gay population. I would say even probably stronger than up here in the city, or San Francisco. My apologies. But because I work in San Francisco, I have, I would say about 50% of my clients are LGBTQ, but a lot of them came up here and aren't even from San Francisco. They came from other places, but a lot of them went to LA and moved up here and said they had an easier time. So that's interesting. But DM Rock said the only ones I like is Zach, Kristen, Luke, Nia, and Danny. Same.
I don't even like them. I might like Nia depending on how I feel about her per episode, because there's some episodes she gets on my nerves. But
Mhm.
that's the one I really gravitate to. Is her.
I
I don't
think
even gravitate to her help.
Nia is probably why a lot of people are watching this show. I feel like Danny knows because she was Miss USA or something. She was in the pageant world basically. And I sometimes feel like Danny is aware of that and knows he has to behave or treat her a certain way because people will really act up with him. But then I also feel like he's a good guy, but I don't feel like we see the real him at all. At all. At all. Because the way she be having to talk to him through the phone calls when they on camera, I would love to hear what's on the other end of that call to make her have to do that. Because the only time I talk to my husband sternly and be like, Anthony Josiah Herbert, listen to your wife, is if that Negro done said some crazy stuff in a crazy way. It's just a fact. Just a fact. But Nia and Michelle meet up. And this is where Nia asks what happened after she left because she's not game goofy. And they showed a little flashback, and it was so funny because the way that they all cried and got upset after acting like they had made peace with Nia, y'all further proved your Nia's point and why you were shady. Y'all go and talk about her behind her back, make her think that everything is good, get mad at her when she confronts you. You're mad at her about something she did not do. You're mad at her husband. None of it made sense. So Michelle explains that Jasmine became emotional, and I think we are all sick of Jasmine. We're gonna put DM Rock's comment back on. I think we're all tired of Jasmine. Jasmine's not likable, and I think they should drop her from the show. And her girlfriend also seems messy and not likable. I don't want either of them on the show. If you guys have to, Bravo, have a token lesbian or token black person on the show, find somebody else. Call James. He's available. Please.
No, don't
Call him.
call me because I don't want to have to move out there and cuss everybody out because that's not beneath me to do.
Oh, hell. He said that's not beneath
That's
me
not
to do.
beneath me to do. I don't like any of these people. So the last thing I want to do, it's different. See, it would be different, Bravo, in that call center, if y'all listening, putting me on Summer's House Martha's Vineyard because we recapped the show with Mrs. Best, and I talked about every single last one of the current cast members. So if you wanted to bring all those cast members back and bring me as someone who talked about them all and have them come at me one-on-one, you can do that because I'm ready for all of them. I will take them all out at one time. I do not care. That's the show you put me on. You don't put me on a group full of irresponsible, iridescent as clear folks and expect me to move along this group because I'm going to read all of them for filth. Worse than Mary Cosby does Real Housewives of Salt Lake City's clear people.
Yeah,
Y'all don't
Mary
want
Cosby does it right. If you are going to be the token black person on here, you don't let them get away with shit that they try.
that.
But
Absolutely.
Jasmine is wishy-washy,
Mm-hmm.
like just her being. But Michelle is, I don't like Michelle. Like, I do feel like Jesse is a headache and probably did like push her or provoke her to want to cheat. I do. And I don't feel like she deserves the treatment she gets from him when they get into it. But I don't like Michelle. I don't think she's innocent either. And she was kind of careful though. I did like how she moved here because all she said was that Jasmine became emotional. She didn't really say like, yeah, they was talking shit about you and this and that. She didn't put herself in between it. But she also is in real estate and has something to lose. So I feel like she's not going to act so crazy. But Michelle says things around her daughter that irritate me. And I need people to understand, you choose your baby daddy, father of your child, right? But your child doesn't get to choose their parents. They just know their parents and they love their parents, right? Even if the parents aren't there all the time or the way that they should. And I felt like it was inappropriate for her to be talking about her relationship with Jesse while the little girl was playing, and the camera kept panning into that little girl for a reason. She was clearly listening and picking up to what her mama was saying. And then she says that Isabella had asked her at one point to marry Aaron, who is her new boyfriend. Since you're not married to daddy, can you marry Aaron? How about you find a behavioral therapist for your child so she can sort those feelings out? Sit her down, try and have a conversation, explain to her what's going on and how things work. Maybe don't talk about how her dad is a horrible human being right while she's playing. That's not a play date conversation. I've accompanied friends to play dates because my friends think I just have all the time in the world sometimes, right? And they don't like, they'll talk about their kids or how many kids they have or what they're going through because of the kids, but they don't generally like complain about baby daddies and divorce. Like when I was growing up, we had children's, like adults seem to speak about certain things away from kids, which is good. Thank you to my mama and my daddy. But what the hell? So how'd you feel about Michelle's little comments?
I feel like she needs to be careful. I feel like one of these moments, because she does this. I'm noticing she does these very subtle outbursts of random like comments that, in some terms, if she was in our neighborhood, she would have got slapped. Just saying. But I noticed that with her, she needs to be careful with how she moves. A lot of them do, but mainly her. Her, and then what's Jack Taylor's wife's name again?
Brittany.
Brittany. Her
Just
and
call
Brittany.
her Big Back.
Well, look, I'm trying to learn this show, so that's not going to help me in the long run. Her and Brittany specifically say things that are questionable, that if you weren't in your right mind, you would be offended. Now, I'm not saying now, of course, her relationship with, what's his name? The one she was married to?
Jax?
Huh?
Jax?
No, the other one.
Who else is married? Jesse?
No, Michelle. Who was she married? Was she married?
Jesse. She was married to Jesse.
Yes. Okay. Because I'm telling you, it's hard for me. I be trying, y'all. This show is hard because I don't know everybody. So I'm sorry. But I'm just saying, I'm listening to her talk. I'm listening to what she's saying. And it's like, it's outlandish. It's like, girl, have you lost your mind? Like, and that's what we're saying. I think white women are allowed to be nonsensical. And I think they've been able to get away with it because that's probably the product of their environment. And I think as people, not necessarily people of color, but people who recap shows like this and people who are in the world, reporting on the world and giving our opinions, it's important to call these things out so we can spread an awareness to it. Because I think they've been getting away with it for too long. And she's one of them. She, Lisa Barlow, and who else? There's somebody else I want to mention that I'm not thinking of right now. They have a great way of being nonsensical in a world that, looks at them to say that they don't have privilege, but we know they do. So that's what I'm going to say about her, because I just felt like, it'd be too much.
Okay. Michelle's just annoying, though. I do agree with everything you said, though, but she's awful. So Jason, Danny, and Luke, they all go out for burgers, and Danny complains about being tired because this man, if anybody watches the show and actually pays attention, would notice that in almost every scene that we see Danny, he's always coming from work and he's always talking about he's tired. Very rare that he's drunk. He often chooses water. So Danny complains being tired, and this is how the trip comes up because Luke is like, "Oh wow, you must have an alcohol problem." I said, "Thank you, Luke. I like Luke because Luke don't know these people like that." And Kristen, it looked like for a while they was a little shaky, but they figured it out. But Luke don't give a damn about these people. He's here for Kristen. We know from season 1 that Luke would rather be in Colorado climbing a mountain with Kristen somewhere in a cabin cooking him some food. That's all that Luke would want. But he's doing like a lot for her. So I like how he just keeps it 100 with these people. And I appreciate that, and him as an addition. But Jason mentions what Janet told him, because we saw these people because they're weird and they have no life of their own. They don't want to tell us why their baby has to be in the little head thing. What happened? Is the child okay? We would love to know. They don't want to tell us anything too deep about their marriage. They only seem to ever be discussing other people. I never see this couple just like talk and chill and like have good energy or whatever. They're always discussing other people. But Jason mentions how Janet felt that it was uncomfortable that Danny went into the closet and was chugging the tequila. That's how Janet made it seem. So they showed the footage again. Danny did close the door. It was a quick little door close. He did close the door. But it looks like the door also opened relatively quick and they were mic'd up and stuff. So it's like if he wanted to do something in secret, I'm pretty sure he would make sure that he wasn't mic'd up and cameras weren't around. That's how I personally feel. He did arrive late and he did want to catch up. And he made that comment. It didn't give like alcohol. He was like, oh, when he saw her in there, it's like, man, I got to catch up to you guys, which leads me to believe from what I watched that Janet was probably in there having a swig herself because Danny made it very clear that everybody was going in that closet to take sips of drink. Why? Because he said that towels was in there, which I believe, as well as food was in there, which I believe, and alcohol, because that's what the fuck a pantry is for. So he does all of that and he explains himself, and Jason was doing too much. Jason pissed me off real bad right here because first of all, you didn't see shit. You're only commenting on what your wife is telling you. Secondly, you know that your wife is messy. Okay, if you're not going to hold your wife accountable, Jason, then at the very least, don't get involved and do her dirty work. Thirdly, who the fuck died and made Jason the king of doing what's right? I can tell y'all in real time that no person is that good. You may not have seen what they're doing behind closed doors, but I can promise you, this man is not that morally correct just based on his fucking job. He's an attorney. There are times he has to lie or act like he don't know things. So it's weird that he's trying to act all holier than thou with this group. And then outside of that, you just became somebody's daddy. I personally question Jason's sexuality, but that's a whole nother topic I'm not going to get into. But you are talking down to this man and doing something that you know as an attorney is damaging to his character and his reputation. Doesn't mean you should treat people bad for having an alcohol or drug or substance abuse issue, but it does mean that you have to wonder and worry and question it because there's a lack of control that they have demonstrated through that issue. So Jason knows how it looks to make an accusation. If he would have went and talked to him like, oh, I'm just concerned because it seems like the drinking thing, like you can't seem to find your median. Is everything okay? Fine. But I was mad because Luke explained, like, you guys aren't even believing anything that Danny has to say, basically. And Luke tells us that he was asked by Danny to wake him up for dinner because he was tired. And then when he went to try and do that, Nia, Danny's wife, who has more pull, and Luke seems to understand this, told them to let Danny sleep because he had driven for hours, worked that day, and then tried to catch up to how much they had been drinking. So I can imagine all that liquor hitting them at once along with that tiredness. And he hadn't had food because they did not have dinner yet. That's what they was waiting on. So I can imagine that. So I was glad that Luke brought that up because it did kind of defend them. Then Jason brings up after hearing that, because he just wants to be right, which is what I saw. Jason brings up Jasmine's discomfort. And I'm like, wait a minute. Why are we fucking talking about Jasmine's discomfort if you're so-called concerned that your friend has an alcohol problem? If you really suspect that Danny has an alcohol problem, then Jasmine's stupid ass feelings don't fucking matter. That it doesn't. Because then someone has a problem. She got her apology. She really shouldn't even still be talking about it. But what would take priority is your friend getting help or feeling supported, not the other one attacking them. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Makes no sense. So Danny responds to it and reminds everybody that he has apologized to Jasmine. And apparently it was more than once. It wasn't just the time that we saw on camera. And he also says that he understands how uncomfortable that can make her. And so he will have another conversation and will apologize to her again. And Jason is interrupting him and saying, oh, well, I just don't feel like you're taking accountability. And it's like, huh? How is he not taking accountability when he has already apologized? He didn't do anything but go to sleep to piss these people off. And he's willing to apologize again. How much more fucking accountable can you be? I don't understand. Is he supposed to just like apologize every time he sees Jasmine? And I'm still mad at Jasmine because I'm like, Jason, you a bitch. I'm just sorry, he's a bitch made type person. And I saw that because you could tell he was not prepared to go into that whatsoever. How dare you ask someone to take accountability for something that they've already taken accountability for? And then how dare you try to force it on someone that they have a problem? That is dangerous. That is dangerous. If I was Danny, I'd call the bar. Shit, petty. Because who the fuck are you? That can impact Danny's ability to get jobs in the industry. So I'm looking like, what is this? So basically, Danny asked Jason, like, so you don't think I've been accountable? And Jason goes, no, I don't think you've been accountable. And then Danny says, well, do you think that it's okay for you to just be making accusations that I am an alcoholic? And Jason says, yeah, I think it's fine. And Danny made the comment we were all thinking, says the lawyer, not the friend. So in my opinion, Jason is trash. I would never trust him again. I could never be friends with someone who puts something onto me. Now, if Danny really does have an alcohol problem, that's one thing. But even if he does, this is not the way to handle it. That's not the way to approach it. If you are going to approach it that way on TV, I would have preferred Janet and Jason talk to Nia or something, or talk to them as a couple. Like, but the way that they went about that was not okay. And they being Janet, Jason, Jasmine, and boring ass Melissa, I did not like that shit. It pissed me off. And if I were Danny, I would be threatening the network to either leave the show or to fucking sue him for defamation, because this was forever recorded and will forever follow him. And we know it to be true. So James, how'd you feel about that stupid little scene?
It was insane. It was insane because where in today's society can you like destruct someone's character on national TV and there's not supposed to be any consequences? And Bravo, I blame you more so for that, for putting in a clause that cast members cannot sue other cast members, even though they can have reputable damages done to their personnel on outside of the network. Like Mrs. Best said, that could affect him long term with him getting employment after Bravo decides to no longer go on with the show or terminate his contract. So anybody that he gets employment through are going to say, oh, you used to be on this show. Let me watch you for 2 days and let me see what you were like. And this situation comes up because it's believable for someone to say, oh, he's a drunk. People are going to believe someone else's experience based on how the show premises is versus the person's character, because they're going to rightfully assume that's what they were doing. So it is very damaging, and I thought it was insane. And I'm just like, I blame Bravo for this. I really do, because they need to be careful. This is why a lot of people leave Bravo networks now, because that's not fair. And that is crazy that there was no serious repercussion for this, because he still has the job. I looked it up. He still has his job. He's still on the show. He still will have other episodes in this season. So there was no reprimanding for him. Crazy.
You know what else I had noticed? I saw something earlier on Instagram, a comment, and somebody had said to Jason, because I was looking on his Instagram, because I said, I know he getting it. And somebody said, it's interesting that he went so hard on Danny, but didn't have that same energy with Jax. And we saw a couple episodes ago, Jax admitting to disrespecting Brittany, admitting to getting violent with Brittany, admitting to doing crazy things around their child that could literally impact their child for the rest of their life. They was just, oh, okay. But when it comes to Danny and Nia, I stand by this. I think because they are nice people who actually have a relationship that has layers to it, I feel like maybe Janet and Jason are a little bit jealous, because I mean, no shade, I wouldn't want to be with Janet. No, based on how she look and how she act, I wouldn't want her. And as for Jason, I would be wondering and hoping that, you know, he continues like a woman during the duration of a marriage. So I couldn't do it. I feel like a lot of people in this group are jealous of Danny and Nia's relationship. I also feel like Danny and Nia are too nice and need to stand the fuck up. Danny has the ability to do it, though. And I think that's why I say there's more to him that we don't know, because he told Jason, are you going to let me talk? Shut your mouth. You could tell he had to refrain and hold back a little bit, because you're not going to make an accusation like that against someone and not allow them to speak. This ain't court, player. You can't do that. So I don't know. Jason, be careful. I understand sticking beside your wife, but also let your wife be messy. Like we saw Kristen later in this episode do some stuff that was unnecessary. And Luke commented on it in the confessional, but he let her do what she did. And that was that. Learn how to be a man, Jason. And I'm wondering what type of law he practices to even think that this was okay. Horrible person. Him and Janet. You could tell they're just like bad people in real life. And I don't care what nobody say. We're gonna move forward. We get a dumb video from Jax. He crying. He happy he get to see his son. He was crying, but he didn't have one tear. Not a wet shirt. He didn't need a tissue or a napkin. Not one tear, but he was crying. And we saw the last time he saw his son. It looked like his son don't even know him like that or feel safe around him. Because the son obviously has some form of a developmental disability, in my opinion. And nothing's wrong with that. But I hope that instead of fighting each other, that they're actually getting their child the help so that he can learn to feel safe, to become verbal and all of these things. Because there's definitely something going on. Because that boy smiles and plays when Brittany's around or even when other people are around on the cast. But when Jax is around, the little boy don't seem too interested. So save your tears, Jax, please. But yeah, he's going to see his son. And I'm just like, you're not that sad because you make sure in every video you send to be promoting Jax's bar, Studio City. He always in that damn hat. And Jax don't usually wear hats. Do you have any comments on his video, James?
No, I don't.
I figured.
I was like, okay, whoever buys it, buys it. Like, I don't buy it at all. I just think that, once again, this is a way to excuse inappropriate behavior when it comes to our clear brothers and sisters. This is really what this is. And I'm just not moved by this. I'm not moved by it. I feel like it's bullshit. I feel like you just want people to feel sorry for you for whatever reason that you feel it may help with the sympathy vote. And it's not working, sir. This is actually, I think this is actually worse. This is the worst thing you can do for yourself is to be crying on here versus taking responsibilities of how you showed up. You know, to your wife and to your child. I think that that's more so what people want to see, not you crying and trying to get sympathy from people.
I don't give a damn about them tears. And this is why to people, because I do have some people who are of Caucasian race, that's white for those who don't know, who watch this channel. And like, I don't understand this. And I think it's good sometimes to ask questions. It does seem like people of a certain hue of skin complexion are so quick, whether they are a man, woman, or anything in between, so quick to cry when they do some fucked up shit or when they put themselves in situations. What the fuck are you crying for now? You've been said last season, I don't want to lose my wife or have my son impacted. And now you crying on camera. Somebody had to force you, because we now know, now that this is aired, because stuff has been coming out, that Brittany had to run to production to tell them she didn't feel safe. And production made him go to rehab because other than that, they wouldn't have been here. So I'm just looking at it like, I don't care about Jax's tears. Jax has been crying since 2012 on television. I am sick of him. Sassy Diamond reactions. I will subscribe to your channel. I want to see some reactions. And we support other Black creators. Welcome in. She said this group is trying to hold Danny accountable. But where was this energy when Jax was yelling at Brittany during the last trip? Everyone stayed silent. It feels hypocritical. Exactly. That's what I keep seeing. That's why they eating Jason up, Miss Sassy. They eating his ass up because we just saw him a couple episodes ago watching Jax act the fool, and he didn't do shit. But with Danny, he feel the need to buck up. I don't like that. I don't like that. But Danny, I think, is figuring out, and I think that's why Nia was trying to tell him when we saw them in the last episode in the bed. She's like, no, honey, this is not funny. I think he's finally understanding, like, oh, okay, my wife, because he didn't know what happened. He was asleep. My wife is not being over dramatic. Like, these people are coming for me. And Danny, tell you this. I want you, read them for filth. I know you have it in you. I know you have it in you. Read them for absolute filth. He's married to a Hispanic woman. I know. He has it in him. Read them for filth, sir, because he got too many kids under the age of 5 and too many jobs to have to deal with this bullshit. He does. He does. But I'm sick of Jax. I'm sick of Dax.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all sick of him? Like, I don't understand why. Well, I do understand why Bravo gave him a chance. I do understand. I would be foolish to think I didn't understand, but I 100% understand why Bravo gave them the chances. I'm gonna say them because it wasn't just him. Gave them the chances they gave them to be on TV again. Because I don't think it would work the same if they were a different ethnicity. I'm just gonna say that.
It wouldn't, and that's the only reason Jasmine is here, because of why they were fired from VPR. They knew if they bring Jax and or Kristen back on television and they don't put somebody black on the cast this full time, they're gonna have problems because they were fired for racial slurs against the black community.
Yes.
So Jax, with your Hitler mustache, sir. Moving on. Brittany's mom is in town. I want Brittany's mom to fix her haircut. I do. I just do. I don't like her haircut. And the lady is not unattractive. I think she's aging gracefully. And I want Brittany to help her mama change her haircut. But, you know, Brittany also doesn't understand that she's shaped like a traffic cone upside down right now. So there's that. Yeah. Upside down. Wide, then it get real slender at the leg. But Brittany says that she's happy her mom has been there because she's escaping her horrible life that she chose. She called her life with Jax horrible. Bitch, you chose it, and it was bad from the beginning. Nothing in her relationship had changed. The only difference is they had a child. And I honestly feel like if Brittany and Jax did not have a kid, they would probably still be together because she would be sniffing that white girl right with him, that special Scarface stuff. She'd be right there with him. I truly believe that everything that Brittany is mad at Jax about at one point she did with him. The difference is once you become a parent, I think you become more aware of certain things, which I think has happened with her, but not with him. So there's that. But her mom is there. She complains about her life, but her mom's going to be there for a while. This is where we learned that Jax was able to see his son. The way that they did it is the nanny brought the son to see Jax for 30 minutes inside of the facility that he was at. And then after that, the nanny kept the son, and Jax, Brittany, and the therapist, they went off to have a talk. Brittany also commented on the fact, I don't know what type of rehab this is. I think it's some bullshit because Jax was able to come home in the middle of treatment, in the middle of inpatient treatment. Jax was able to come home and grab more clothes. Why not pack enough clothes for 30 days if you know you're going to be there that long? And then they say he came home and he took all the little Post-it notes off the camera. It seems like trying to show like a good faith of like, see, I'm going to be good now and all of this type of stuff. But it's not. It's because he's moving next door to Tom Schwartz. He signed a lease. Schwartz is from VPR. For those who don't watch, Vanderpump Rules are just new to the Valley. Tom Schwartz and Jax's relationship has developed over time, really, because Schwartz is a softie and a little bit of a poodle who can't stand up for himself when necessary. Jax was actually closer with Sandoval until he slept with Sandoval's girlfriend, who was Kristen. So it's kind of strange that he's going backwards and wants to live next door to someone just as childish of him, just a little less irresponsible. That's Schwartz compared to Jax, in my opinion. But he wants to live next door to him. Then Brittany starts talking about Jax as a terrible human being right in front of the child. No wonder the boy don't want to hug his dad. I don't have kids, but if I did, I'm not just going to be having conversations trashing my kid's dad in front of my child. Even if their dad is trash, I'm not going to do that because guess what? You can talk all the shit you want. That child's still going to love their parent. It's a fact. It's not their fault the relationship didn't work. So I'm looking at Britt and I'm just like, so much, but I don't want to give her too much time because she really said a bunch of nothing. She has no storyline. All she's doing is complaining about her husband. And baby, we don't want you. If we got to keep somebody on the show, I'd rather keep Jax over Brittany. I don't like Jax, but Brittany, in my opinion, is a gold digger, and it didn't work out the way that she thought it would. And she didn't even reach high enough in terms of income. So how'd you feel, James?
Because you know how I feel about these people in particular. I don't like these people. I hate this question. But no, in all seriousness, this is nothing but, a man trying to play a victim and trying to blame his circumstances on his behavior and stuff. We see it and it's just annoying. I see a young lady that is also trying to play a victim as well, acting like she didn't know what she was signing up for.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you had a lot of information and details before you got with this man. And this is something a lot of women do. A lot of women ignore. A lot of women ignore the signs, ignore the gestures, ignore the patterns of people. Men do it too, but the problem with men is that men never stay in places that are uncharted. They kind of go when stuff starts to feel shaky, where women kind of follow their intuition and feel like they can clean it up, or they can help them, or they can change them. And I think that that's what she was trying to do until she realized he was beyond change. There was nothing she can do. So now she's getting on TV and crying about it. But at the end of the day, nothing to me about him pointed out that he was ever going to be different with you.
That's right.
So I don't understand what you thought you were getting. As far as where he is, as far as the treatments, as far as the nanny bringing the baby, as far as all of that was fine and good. I'm glad he was able to see his child. But at the end of the day, I don't really care because it doesn't change how I felt about him. I feel like, yes, he needs to see his child. Absolutely. His child should know exactly who his father is. That is very important. But at the same time, they're both are trash people. So it doesn't surprise me they have this much conflict.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. And that's what she's doing. I had I think it was Bravo Snark said I had commented earlier online about that. I was like, this girl wants to be a victim so bad. And it's like, show yourself, if anything. Don't try to make yourself look bad in a situation. We're not stupid. The audience is not dumb. People can put two and two together. The audience, Brittany, has also known Jax longer than you. We know he ain't shit. We know he ain't shit. Most people know. So I'm like, it's like, just, I'd rather, if Brittany's going to redeem herself, stop talking about this, get divorced. Don't talk about him no more once you're divorced, and show your personality, show yourself doing things for your child, but do that. But we don't want to hear this no more, Brittany. I'm tired. Moving on, y'all. Danny meets with Jasmine and her girlfriend. Let me tell y'all this. I want to make something very clear. I am a good person as it relates to, if I saw someone fall, I'd help them up. If I don't know someone and they're in danger, I'd help them out. I'll give money to the homeless if I sense that they ain't one of them fentanyl zombies we got running around the Bay Area right now. But I am not this nice. If you fucking accuse me of being an alcoholic and throw a fit when you're drunk and bring up some old shit I already apologized for, I would have said, fuck it. Y'all can go to hell and you better keep my fucking name and my family's name out your mouth. We don't have to be friends. That's what Danny should do, but he won't. So he apologizes again. And in my opinion, Jasmine is a crook who once again tried to use her sexuality again to come at him. And I'm like, what does what you experience when out with your girlfriend away from this group as lesbians have to do with what he has done, what you told him you forgave him for, and what he has already apologized for? Why is Danny having to be accountable for all the other douchebags who've done you dirty and not given an apology? Because that's all she did. She gave some sad fucking story of how when she's at a bar and men hit on her and her girl and they tell them they're lesbians and they're like, kiss us, prove it's real. Danny did not do that to y'all. He made a comment that was inappropriate while faded, while just pissed drunk. He apologized for it and has not done the same thing again. So what does that have to do with the now? And why do you need to talk to him about this again if he already said sorry? And if you're lesbians and you know that when you go to bars that men hit on you too and say shit like that, then I would assume, I'm not in that community, but I would assume that that is why the LGBTQ community has lots of spaces where you go to bars that are specifically gay bars, lesbian bars. I've been to bars, but I live in a Bay Area, it's a little more colorful, where it's like specifically for trans people. Like they've created spaces for themselves where they can go and enjoy themselves with or without a spouse and not have to deal with the ignorance. Go there. Why continue to put yourself in the situation and then come at other people about it? It made zero freaking sense. She just projected, in my opinion. Then she makes the comment that if it was a heterosexual relationship, that what Danny did would be like a problem. But I don't fully agree with that. I'm in one myself. I've been in situations like that. And my dude, he'll cut it off like, hey, no, dude, you tripping. And then after that, he'll never have me to fuck around that person again. But like, it doesn't always have to be a big fight or something more. And that's kind of what Jasmine was trying to make it seem like. And I'm like, I think in general, if you touch anybody's spouse, it's a problem. And that's why you got your apology. So every point that she made was just annoying. It was overmade. I didn't understand the point. But Danny did the right thing. He held his cool. He agreed with everything they said, offered empathy for the situations they went through separate from him, and he apologized more than once at that table. And what I saw, because she kept trying to go back and bring up bullshit, and I saw her girl looked like she don't even care. But I feel like the people in this group are a little bothered that Danny is doing the right thing, and that's why they keep bringing the shit up, hoping that he'll snap or say something he'll regret or that they can use against him. But he's not doing that. And so they just talk in circles. But Jasmine, we don't even want you on the show. I really don't give a fuck what you go through in a bar, as quiet as it's kept. I want to know who in your life is black, honestly. And I know some people may be like, why you say that, Mrs.? Why you say that? I'm very black. I'm blackity black, fucking black. I don't care. And I want to know who she knows that's black. Because I went to private school with a bunch of Caucasian people. I didn't see nobody of color really until I got to high school and went to Mount Eden with James's ass. I listen. So, but you know, Jasmine seems like that type that just like avoids her own people. And she also seems like the type to project her insecurities and struggles with her sexuality in the black community. Being gay, lesbian, stuff like that is still somewhat taboo, in my opinion. There's still them old, ignorant, niggas that's like, absolutely not. The Bible says, and this and that. And Jasmine is black, so I'm assuming she comes from an African-American family. And I'm wondering if she struggled with that coming out or stuff. But like the way she's acting over this is just making me want to like do a psychological assessment on her and get Danny a raise. So yeah. But how do you feel, James, about the little meeting?
I ain't feel anyway about it. Honestly, we can move on. Because because there was nothing really to discuss, nothing really to have. So we can move on.
Bless you. Bless you. Bless you. Now, Kristen and Luke, they go out to eat with Jesse. Luke said what we were all thinking. People are unreasonably upset with Danny because it's unreasonable. And this is where Kristen says that Jason sucks. Kristen was mad. I said, oh, is old Kristen coming back? Jesus. I said, what's going on, Kristen? You real bad. So Kristen's mad. She says Jason sucks and he's in no space to judge because he doesn't even wear his wedding ring all the time. And people been speaking about it and rumors been going around for over a year. And just like last year, this is something that Kristen got from Zach. Zach told Kristen this, and Kristen got it confirmed through Jasmine. I said, ain't that some shit? Jasmine confirming this as Jason is defending her like crazy. That don't make no type of sense. So Jesse then tries to defend it and is like, I don't always have my ring on at all times. I used to take it off and put it in my pocket and I'm just like, Jesse, we don't care what you have to say. You're a narcissistic sales guy who doesn't know how to treat your woman. And And your marriage, you're going through a divorce right now because of alleged infidelity and not knowing how to be in the, like, Jesse, don't give anyone advice until you just don't give advice, Jesse. If people want advice on like when to buy, you know, what to do to get the most out of their home when they sell it, fine. But don't go to Jesse for anything else. Like, he should not talk. But Jesse did make a good point. He was like, it's none of his business. But then at the same time, it's kind of like, why is it okay, Jesse, when you're around people in there alleging that Danny has an alcohol problem? Why are you okay with hearing that? But then when this comes about, it's none of your business. I just don't understand it. I don't. I just don't. But okay. James, how do you feel about that?
Once again, this is a segment that you can also move on from because I don't really have. And here's the thing: it's not that I try to have an opinion on it. We beating a dead horse at this point with this cast. We just
True.
are. We beating a dead horse.
It's the same thing though.
Shit.
Every single scene. So it's like if they talk about it, every single scene is gonna come up. But okay, we'll move on. So Brittany, who is shaped nastily. I don't like the way this woman is shaped, and I want her to fix her face and her bottoms. But she's having it looks like a Shark Week event at her rental house, I guess. And this is where Jason comes to the event. He's talking about he feel like he was too hard on Danny. And I'm kind of like, why did you have to go home to feel that way? I think he knew that he did too much and was wrong in the moment, but his ego wouldn't let him admit to being disrespectful and making false allegations that he didn't hear or experience or see himself. So that's kind of like but the group again thought that they could bully Danny. Now Lala's pregnant ass is here, and I don't understand why Sheena. I knew Sheena and Lala would make an appearance on this season of The Valley, but like, I know Vanderpump Rules is not coming back. I know that they both jobless outside of the businesses they own. Please don't put Sheena and Lala on this show. They are actually a part of the friend group, but like I can't deal with either or, because Lala likes to act like she's a gangster and like get the accent of somebody black from somebody's neighborhood, and Sheena is just too much. She's a lot. She's a lot. So I don't need them on the show. I just don't. But Jason pulls Danny aside to talk, and he immediately says he feels bad and apologizes for what he said. He then tears up, which I thought was him gaslighting him, because why the fuck are you crying when you've had all these conversations behind my back? Your wife has had all these conversations behind my back. Now you're crying as you apologize. Why are you crying if you've done someone else wrong? I don't like when people do that, but that's a personal thing. But it seemed like damage control. It seemed like damage control to me. Do you think it was damage control, James?
Absolutely.
Crazy.
I won't even mince words. That was definitely damage control. That's what they do when things get out of their control or out of their hands. They didn't do this whole, segment of trying to clean it up and make it look like it wasn't what we just saw.
Yeah, I don't like these people, but I mean, what can we do? What the hell can we do?
Right.
I'm just like, he's an attorney, so I expect this behavior, but
I don't. And that's the thing. I don't expect this behavior. I would think on TV you would have some couth. But, because if he wasn't on TV, I would agree with you.
Yeah. He's a lot. I want to know what type of law he practiced real bad. Like, I really want to know.
Maybe he liked a NECA and we would never know.
Oh, she was a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
When I think of her, I think of champagne. And I hope some champagne company gave her a brand deal, because when I think of NECA, I think of champagne. I don't think of law.
Well, I mean, apparently it did work because she did get pregnant. So,
Jesus Christ.
I guess it worked.
Lord. She seems like she likes to come at men. She gets at everybody, but Lala just comes off as single and miserable. And, you know, Randall Emmett he's pretty much the Diddy of the industry. Harvey Weinstein's little nephew and all of that. She was with Randall Emmett. So I'm like, I know that you've seen things and heard things. Lala, talk about that. Why are you always got to be getting at somebody's man about something? Like, I get it. I appreciate being for girls and feminine and, you know, energy, because Lala always stands for women. But I did feel like it was a bit much with Jesse. Like, why are you so pressed? How did you feel about Lala and Jesse's interaction?
They're strange. She's strange. And now that you kind of picked up who she dated, because I missed that part,
Mm-hmm.
it makes a lot of sense.
When she was real young, because she was like, I believe 21 or 22 when she came on the show.
Me, you know who she reminds me of? They don't look alike, but their personalities and ways are similar. She reminds me of Kendra Wilkinson, which is funny because I referenced Hank Bassett last episode.
Mm.
What is going on here, Barbara? What y'all trying to pull?
Yeah, Lala, that situation was weird. She was 21 dating a 40-something year. I was like, oh dear. Hot mess express. Let me see. Jesse ends up pulling Jason aside, you guys, and tells Jason about the conversations and the allegations that Kristen has made that he doesn't wear his ring. And so Jason goes to Kristen and Luke, and Janet is there as well. And they explain what they heard. And Jasmine comes over and confirms it in front of Jason. And Jason is like, the audacity of this bitch. I just accused someone of being an alcoholic for you. And this what you do? And Janet gets upset, which I can understand. I don't like Janet, but I can understand why she would be upset. You find out that there's rumors going around about your marriage and your husband and him allegedly not wearing his wedding ring, which insinuates that he could be cheating on you. Now, Janet's upset, but she also acts like she goes stick beside Jason and like it's not an issue. But I think it was some type of an issue. I just think that these two both know how to keep their business out the streets because they're both always in someone else's business. So we don't really get to see much from them. We don't get much from Janet and Jason in their relationship dynamic. So it was strange, but I do hope that maybe they will mind their business from here. Maybe Janet and Jason have learned their lesson. You can only talk about people so much before the shit comes on you. And Janet did stay calm with Kristen, which surprised me because she had all this negative energy towards Kristen a couple episodes ago. Like she wanted the smoke, acted like she could not care. Now suddenly you value your friendship so much as she's accusing your husband of something. And you just like, she goes, if you apologize, we can just move on. Just apologize for saying it. And I'm like, you too calm. That's not how she is, James.
I know. I can read between the lines. Trust me. I know that's not how she is.
Hot mess. Hot mess. And I'm Janet. I want people to start digging into their relationship. Somebody from the past. Show us an old picture, something. See, that's why I like we TV shows like Love After Lockup. Somebody come on TV just for a season because they change people each season. And next thing you know, they baby daddies and uncles from 1992 is coming forward to show old pictures of the person, telling us everything we need to know. I need to know that about Janet and Jason because their dynamic is strange. But Brittany calls the group together because she's stupid. And she announces at a happy event that Jax has moved out and he's moved next door to Tom Schwartz. And so she is done and she's going to be getting an attorney and filing. She also announces that he has not paid their mortgage since May. She says she left the house on the after show in February or something like that. But then she also said on this show that she left the house in March. So I don't know what the fuck's going on. We know she a liar. Maybe the coat got in the way of her remembering what really happened and when. But I was just like, y'all, mortgage is $14,000. And it sounds like they've been struggling to pay that. Let me just say this. Just because you could get approved for something with credit doesn't mean you have to accept it.
So
work within your budget.
People in the back.
That is the key. That is the key. So that's why I say Brittany and Jax are financially irresponsible. And she's painting this story, trying to make everybody feel sorry about it. But I'm just like, okay. So later on, let's just finish what happened in the episode. Brittany and Jasmine go to Jax's bar, and I'm like, why the fuck are you at this bar that his name is on, that he clearly didn't want you a part of? Why are you at his bar if you're so angry at him? I don't understand that. Then you show up to the bar with Jasmine, you taking his picture off the wall, covering stood up. Like, they came there and acted a fool. Mind you, the bar was empty. So that really let me know that $14,000 mortgage is a lot. If y'all multiply that by 12, that's like 167 or 8,000. That's in a year to pay for mortgage. These people don't bring that in. They bring something in, but they're not bringing it in like in a steady way where it would be easy to manage something like that. So I'm looking at them like, what the hell? Y'all are financially irresponsible. But if you watch Vanderpump Rules, y'all know that Jax, Brittany, Tom, Ariana, Katie, and the other Tom all bought their houses literally in the same neighborhood with each other at the same time. I don't feel like Jax and Brittany could have afforded that because they was arguing on VPR a couple seasons ago about the bills for her titties when he paid for them. So listen, craziness. But basically, Tom Schwartz comes by and I'm like, what is this, the Vanderpump Rules cross episode? But Tom Schwartz comes to meet with Britt and Jasmine, which was strange. And this is where Tom is like saying that he's talked to Jax and he seems cool. And you know, he says that being diagnosed with bipolar disorder and now being on different meds has been helpful. And I want everyone to know that's bullshit. Because I work in mental health, I've worked in psychiatric facilities, and I've worked in nursing. It takes your body time for medications like that to go into effect. You don't really know that your antidepressant worked likely for a couple of months. Some people, will be like, oh, I feel better, this and that. Which they may, but you don't truly know how it works, if it will last, or anything like that, usually for months, because they put you on the med and they usually put you on a low dose. And then what happens is the psychiatrist and the PT end up titrating you up or titrating you down. Sometimes just an antidepressant is enough, like Wellbutrin, and other times they may have to pair some Abilify, which is a bipolar medication, with that. In addition to that, you have your anti-anxiety meds. Those can work like instantly because it's a different type of med, the benzodiazepines, all of that. So that's bullshit. Jax is bullshitting. I'm not gonna get into pharmaceuticals and all of that and psychology with y'all, but Jax is full of poop emoji. And Tom Schwartz is dumb, so we expect him to believe it. But Brittany hears this. Brittany hears this, and then she interrupts Schwartz and goes, well, he's not paid our mortgage since May. Bitch, what? Like, I'm glad Cruz's dad is doing well for the sake of his son, but no, well, he just ain't paid. I'm like, oh, bitch. And my thing is, why are you just now finding this out if your name's on the deed too? Both of their names are on the mortgage. Both of their names is on the deed. Like, what is going on? How can your name be on something and you not know if it's paid?
Or were you just paying it and just trying to rub it in that you paid it and he hasn't?
It sounds like because she was talking about in the episode, like when they have arguments and he was like, you don't pay any bills. And she was like, I do pay bills. And then she clarified that Jax pays the mortgage and she paid everything else.
Okay. Because I was going to say, it sounded like to me she was trying to rub it in that he doesn't pay the mortgage to me.
But even so, if my name is on something, I'm going to know what's going on. A couple years back, we had a vehicle in my husband's name and my name that I did not drive because I had my own car. I for sure checked on those payments every single month at the due date. Every single month. If you sign something and your name is attached to something, you should absolutely know what the fuck is going on with it. And if you don't, then seek help. That's just how I feel. So I'm looking at Brittany like, take accountability. Your name's on it. You're responsible too. But we know she won't do that. But Brittany starts crying because she's like, marriage is over, blah, blah, blah. And Jasmine loses her mind. And instead of making her friend gets up and does all this extra stuff that was clearly for the camera. Oh, hell no. To where Schwartz was looking at her like, what the fuck is wrong with this bitch? I could tell looking at Schwartz that he was like, because usually someone cries and you put your hand on them, you rub their back, you tell them, it's going to be okay. Or, You tell them you're going through a hard time right now and you just don't have to, but, you know, offer them support, assurance, right, James?
That's what one would think, but you know.
What the hell is that going to do? I'm looking at Jasmine. I'm just like, I just don't like Jasmine. Like, I don't even care about this Brittany and Jax thing or her tears because she's been crying and bitching about him for 7 episodes now. But Jasmine, she needs to be like committed and studied. She's strange, but that's all I got. Did you want to add anything?
No, she is strange, and I'm just like, I'm over Brittany and Jasmine, Janet. Who else?
He said, I don't like nobody.
I don't honestly. The only person I like is Nia. Her husband's okay. Like he all right. I don't really. I could take or leave him, but all of them need to go. All of them, because it's like this show is stupid. It has no premise, no concept, no nothing. We're just seeing a bunch of people that were on reality TV or who worked at some famous establishment have an afterlife, and it's like no one cares about that.
That's true. That is true. That is very true. I just want them to make changes, but that's it, you guys. We will be back on my channel on Sunday for Never Ever Met. I do have music reactions dropping tomorrow, Friday, I believe Saturday and Sunday. So if you watch our music stuff, get into that. James will let you guys know when we're back on his channel. If you know now, James, feel free to let thy people know. But
I believe we'll be live on my channel Sunday for Somebody's Son, and then Monday for Real Housewives of Atlanta. And that's pretty much all that I have. I want to do an updates video, but I have to do some more research, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm slacking on those, but we'll get that taken care of at some point.
All right, you guys, be sure to check the link in the description of this video so that you can watch the shows on James's channel as well. But other than that, we thank you for being here. Shout out to our replay gang, Thug Life, and we're gone. Adios.
All righty, bye-bye.